Merry Christmas, everyone. I am visiting with you from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and Douglas and I are about to share with you about this incredible painting by Wendy Rodrigue. But before we do that, because it's Christmas, I wanted to share with you something else. And that is this right here, because this is from my very first Christmas, married to George, which would have been 1997. And during that occasion, George and I were living in Lafayette, Louisiana, in Bendale Gardens on Beverly Drive. We had a lot of wonderful friends, and we decided to throw a Christmas party. It was Christmas Eve, and but I remember a lot of George's classmates came from Catholic High in New Iberia. A lot of folks who are gone now. Governor Kathleen Blanco was there, and Coach Blanco, you know, who famously threw George out of class for drawing all those years ago at Catholic High. They were there before she was governor, of course, and good friends. And my mama was there, my sister. It was awesome. Anyway, so I remember that George had Dickie Abear, who some of you may know, George's oldest friend, dressed up as Santa Claus for the occasion. And if you know Dickie, you know how funny that is, because Dickie is truly the thinnest person I have ever met in my life. And so I remember Dickie coming over early and George strapping, you know, pillow after pillow after pillow around him, trying to make him the big Santa Claus. So the party goes on, and everybody's coming in and wanting to sit on Santa's lap. And Santa was a bit of a dirty Santa. I remember that, and that made it a lot of fun. So by the time it comes after Santa and the whole thing, George makes this big announcement that he has a gift for his wife. This was news to me. I mean, it was Christmas Eve, not Christmas Day. We open presents on Christmas Day. I don't know what it is. And there in the middle of the room, he has this big box. And I'll never forget it, because he had a big ribbon tied over it, and he had misspelled my name. He spelled my name, I kid you not, up until the last few years of his life with an I, Wendy, instead of an E. And I remember when I finally called him on it and said, "Don't you think it's about time you spelled my name right?" Anyway, here was this big box, and it said Wendy with an I, and then a big ribbon on it. And I walked up in front of all those people, and he said, "It's easy. You just pull it off." Well, I pulled off that box, and it was John Wayne. This very John Wayne. Bronze by an artist named David Manuel. Now, you might be wondering if I was really obsessed with John Wayne, really crazy about John Wayne. Well, I do like John Wayne a lot. I mean, I've grown to really like him because George was so crazy about John Wayne. Douglas, too, and we've watched every John Wayne movie, and I feel quite sure I'm being truthful in saying that. But nevertheless, I really didn't have this burning urge to have a bronze statue of John Wayne, but it's my very first married gift from my husband, Wendy Rodrigue, and in front of all these people. So I gush and make this big thing about how fabulous John Wayne is, and indeed he is fabulous, but I knew deep down what was going on. You see, earlier that year, George and I had been, just a few months before, on boat tour around the country. And we're traveling all over the place. And anyway, we end up in Park City, Utah. Never been there before. We're walking down the street, and in a gallery window is this John Wayne. And my George, he stops and he goes, "Man, that is so cool." And he kept looking at that John Wayne and looking. He went back the next day to look in the window again. That's how John Wayne became my Christmas present. And are we done? No, we're not done. Almost. And after we moved to Carmel, because I quite didn't know where to put John Wayne, and George put John Wayne in his studio in Carmel, where he painted all the time. And all those great paintings that he did the last 13, 14 years of his life, it was John Wayne looking over him. I'm real glad to have him back here in Santa Fe. Douglas didn't hesitate and put him right here on our fireplace. And in some ways, I think he's never had a more appropriate spot. Anyway, that was mine and George's first Christmas as husband and wife. I love him, and I'm really glad to have this precious, precious gift. Merry Christmas, y'all, from the Duke.